going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of The Green Dream right here on Turf Sub Radio. I'm your host, Luke Trukin. I have a special guest with me today, Riley Marvin, CEO and founder of Alpha Landscape. Riley, how you doing?
Good. I don't like to call myself CEO, but
What do you call yourself then?
top G.
Top G.
No.
So you're competing with Tigran.
No, that's Andrew Tate, but hopefully I don't end up in jail also. That's the hope.
Yeah, there you go. So let's just you're here in Dallas today and here for peer group kind of coaching program and stuff that you're in. What's kind of the biggest takeaway, or why do you jump into or join coaching programs like what you're in right now?
Mainly just because you want to put yourself around other people you can learn from, other people that have done what you're doing or going through the same issues you're going through. Getting around a group of people like that's helpful in a number of ways. So
yeah,
there's some different pieces to it that they do. Once a quarter, you all get together and you go visit one of the other people in the group. So that is what we're here for.
Nice.
So, yep.
Yeah. So let's go back. Let's just start this off with going back to the beginning. You're young. Mm-hmm. You're what, 22? 24. Running a really decent sized design build company, no maintenance, right?
Bid build. No design, no maintenance.
Okay.
No homeowners, no lawnmowers.
All commercial.
Yeah.
Slap it in and move on to the next one.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So talk to me about how we got here. When did you start? Talk to me about the beginning. And then let's just walk through how you've gotten to where you are today.
So started off much like anyone else, mowing lawns, stole my dad's lawnmower, pushed it around the neighborhood. Whatnot. I don't know, maybe sophomore year of high school, I started doing that. By kind of senior year, I had bought, little pickup truck, little trailer, kind of a nicer stand-on mower. And, I had, a couple days, week worth of mowing, maybe did some other little landscape project for the rest of the week, and did that through senior high school. Moved off to college after that, which is about hour and a half, 2 hours away. I actually did my classes in such a way where I didn't have any classes one day of the week, so I'd drive back home the night before. I'd pray really hard that it didn't rain, and I would mow everything that day. And then my brother would finish up for me on the weekend, whatever I didn't get to. So I did that to finish that year, and then the next year I kind of took a break. Helped a buddy out who was doing some landscaping stuff that year. Then after that, I grew up in Eastern Iowa, this is now in Central Iowa. Started up again. Did a year of, I tried doing a little mowing, tried doing a little landscaping. I was trying to do too many things. Which
okay.
We both probably know doesn't work very well.
Yep.
Kind of learned that lesson, got rid of all the mowing, decided I just wanted to be construction. I think then the next year, which would have been between sophomore year and junior year of college, just doing the construction stuff. And
so what was that, homeowner related?
Yeah, that was like homeowners. That was like patios or edging rock plants around a house. That was design build type work. Found out I wasn't a very good designer either. Not what I went to college for. I wasn't very good at that either. So kind of struggled through that. I mean, at that point too, I was working with, it was just me and 2 or 3 guys doing these jobs, and I tend to micromanaged pretty bad. You know, I look back and I'm like, what was anyone thinking fucking working for me?
Yeah. I think we've all hit those moments.
Yeah. And so kind of floundered through that for a year. And then, this would have been my junior year of college. I got a call on a commercial job, kind of out of the blue, kind of fell in my lap. And that's kind of always the type of work I wanted to do. At that point, I didn't know how that worked.
Okay.
How commercial work was done.
Yep.
I didn't go to school for construction management or anything either. So I mean, I was pretty, now it's pretty simple to me, and really it could have just been as simple as finding someone and asking some questions. But at this point, I didn't know how that worked, but kind of fell in my lap. We ended up getting that job. I think we started it the end of my junior year, which would have been 2018. So then we finished it up maybe the spring of 2019, something like that. And then I graduated later that year. So that spring of 2019 was really my first full year in business, full time. I didn't have as many classes at that time. That fall, I hired Sean, who's kind of our field operations manager, who's still with us now, and that kind of allowed stuff to happen when I wasn't in school, essentially. And so that was kind of the first full year there in 2019, and then we liked the commercial work, and we kind of just kept rolling with it, and we learned along the way, because still 2019, 2020 really didn't know what we were doing. And at this point, we still have a lot to learn, but we know a lot more than we did then. So,
yeah. Yeah. So what pulled you out of, was the commercial stuff just more appealing because you were like, dude, I don't have to deal with Susan over here that wants me to move this plant 2 more inches to the left? Or what was, I know a lot of guys that say, dude, I don't want to do the commercial installs because it's so cutthroat.
And the margins exactly aren't there. I explain it. I don't care if Miss Johnson wants her tree moved 3 feet this way because it blocks the view of her neighbor's dog or whatever. Yeah. Right? I don't care to deal with that. Yes, the commercial stuff is definitely more competitive, and especially in a market like here in Dallas, it's really bad. Our market's there's not nearly as much competition in our market as there's not as nearly as much competition, but there's still enough of that work out there that you can
bid the right numbers and still get a decent job. And
you don't need every job. Yeah. Like, if there's a crappy contractor, you don't have to work for them. If whatever, there's enough work out there that you can say no to stuff still, but it's not so much. And the market's not just flooded with landscapers like it is here that it's really bad. So
what happens in the bid process for you? Does the bid process go out to multiple people, or you just kind of, the jobs come up? Because what it is here is a job will come up and it'll pretty much go out to anybody that's on the list. And so you're now competing against like 50 other guys.
Yep.
And 90% of the time in those situations, because you don't get unless you have a personal relationship with the contractor or whoever it may be, the management company for an HOA or something like that, you're just going to be bid on price. Like, it's just literally a line item. Here's numbers by numbers. We need X amount of these, X amount of that. Here's what it is. And then boom, bang.
Yeah. So it's the same thing here. Zach with Clients First, who I was with this morning, they do commercial install, and I sat down with his estimator for a little bit, and I mean it's the same thing. Essentially, there's a couple little nuances that are different, but it's essentially the same thing. But with any commercial type work, the longer you're in the business, you get out of doing certain work, just is more competitive for whatever reason, and you're just a number in that type of work. And eventually move into other types of commercial work that are a little less like that. There's always that to some extent. Is what we see in our market is you still essentially got to be low bid or at least close, but that list gets smaller and smaller and smaller kind of as you move your way up the food chain. You might only end up be pricing against one guy,
Okay.
two guys. And around us, maybe that one guy's busy. He might
Yeah.
throw a number at it, or he might just throw some ridiculous number at it because he doesn't really want it. So it's that's kind of the difference is even on a job everyone sees, like there might only be 5 or 6 bids thrown at it, which talking to Zach down here, there might be 20 bids thrown thrown at a cookie cutter job that's on everyone, that's on the plan room and everyone sees. So that's kind of the main difference we have, and that has been an advantage for us because it's kind of let us flounder a little bit as we try and learn things and not screw things up too bad, where I could see down here you would probably lose money for a while if you didn't know what you were doing off the bat. Because it takes some time and you need to know what you're doing to be able to build the relationships to move your way up the food chain. Or around us, it's really just be honest, show up. That's a lot of things. That's a lot of things. If you boil it down, don't lie to people. Do what you say you're going to do. Pick up the phone.
That's true.
That check, if you do that, you're ahead of
90% of them.
Yeah, 80, 90%.
I mean, it's a lot. I mean, how many guys see their phone ring and they're like, "Oh, I'll call them back later," and that pisses people off. I mean,
and that goes for any any business really. That's kind of kind of the thing, important thing with it to get ahead. And I mean that checks a lot of the boxes there. So
yeah. What's the biggest thing you would tell somebody if they're on the edge right now? If they're like, dude, I'm mowing grass. I kind of want to get into the commercial stuff, but I don't really know how to get my first foot in the door for that. Is it start small? Is it go do the enhancement work, some design add-on extension that somebody's doing to that? Should you just dive right in and try to take a crack at a new construction gig and something along the lines of that? How did you make the pivot, and what do you tell somebody that's kind of man, I kind of want to follow this same idea, but I don't know where to start?
Well, I'd say the residential work translates over to some extent. The main thing, the commercial's got less moving pieces, but it'll have more of one thing, and you have to be efficient at it. And if you're not efficient at it, you're not going to make any money. So, well, for me, honestly, if I were to go back and do it again, I would start my business 1 year later and I'd go work for someone for a year. Is honestly what I would do if I were to go back and
go learn all the tricks from a master.
Now, hindsight's 2020, but
sure.
If I were to give someone else advice and you wanted to do that type of work, and maybe you're kind of small time right now, or you're just mowing, where maybe you can have your guys handle it and go work for someone else full time, and kind of learn how the pieces go together. That's the fastest way to learn.
Yeah.
And that's how I would have done it if I were to go back and start from square one. But there's a lot of pieces to it that make this type of work difficult. And, it's not better or worse than any other section of residential design.
They all have their headaches.
Maintenance. There's pros and cons to each of them.
Yeah.
And there's a reason most large businesses end up as a mix of those. They end up as a mix, but like we said, when I first started, I tried doing too many things. But as you grow and you have people dedicated to running the
different
show
pieces
on each and run it as a fully separate division, that's kind of the same thing as I don't think you want if you had a good residential foreman that could build a beautiful patio and whatever, I don't think you wouldn't get the most out of him building a commercial job.
Sure.
And, I think it's kind of, you need to have dedicated people to each one, but there's some good stuff to it. And then there's you wait 60 to 90 days to get paid.
Yep.
And, I think we had, at one point this year, I think we had $2.5 million in.
Are you still mixing station gas and oil for your string trimmer, leaf blower, or chainsaw? Eliminate the mess and the guesswork with True Fuel, the original pre-mixed 2-cycle fuel. True Fuel is ethanol-free and precision-engineered for small engines, improving performance and extending the life of your outdoor power equipment. And True Fuel is available for both 2- and 4-cycle engines. Empower your equipment with True Fuel. Learn more at TrueFuel50.com.
You're listening to Turfs Up Radio, the only radio station of its kind dedicated to the green industry. Now you can even ask Alexa to tune you in when you're home.
Are outdated spreadsheets and whiteboard scheduling costing you jobs? Or is a lack of consistency between crews causing your bids to differ from job to job? Or worse, delaying critical invoices and payments? Crew Control offers all-in-one business management solutions fit for every trade. From bidding and scheduling to invoicing and integrating payments, Crew Control provides real-time visibility into your crew's efficiency, whether you're in the field, in the office, or even on vacation. Manage your crews more effectively and improve business performance with Crew Control. Start your free trial today at crewcontrol.com.
From the East Coast to the West Coast and around the world, here's to all the women in the green industry. Turfs Up Radio, your industry, your station.
So what do you do in those lines? Because I mean, I ran a completely almost like flip-flop business from what you did. Mostly maintenance. We did design build, but almost 100%. Like it was 80% residential across the board and 20% commercial. And the 20% commercial was mostly maintenance. So my question is like, what does that look like? Our receivables were like 7 days. I put a card on file. We'd charge a card as soon as the work was done. We'd get a deposit up front. Everything was cash flowed. I didn't really have to worry about a whole bunch of lines of credit or credit cards or all of that kind of stuff. Like actually and I regret this decision because I just didn't know. But I was living off the Dave Ramsey mentality of like, no credit's bad. Like you don't have to run a business with credit or lines of credit or any of that kind of stuff. Yeah. So I ran the whole business with no credit. Obviously now I know different information. It would completely change that if I could go back. But that being said, do you set this up where you have really good relationships with vendors and stuff like that, where you're running lines of credit off of them? Are you running a line of credit off of a bank account? What does that look like? Because that's a very big piece, and exact things that you were saying in the sense of the commercial work. Most of the time is 30, 60, 90 days out before you're going to get paid. So you're going to put all of the labor, all of the materials out there and then wait to get paid. You obviously have to have a big net behind you to be able to cash flow the next job, moving into starting another project with more materials and labor and everything.
So it's both. You need to have good relationships with all your vendors, and you need to have vendors that know how this type of work works, and you need to have a good relationship with your banker. And even if you don't do commercial work, I mean, honestly, I think if you don't ever use a line of credit, I would still get one because when shit hits the fan, I don't know if we're allowed to curse on this.
Yeah, you can cuss here. Bleep. We're gonna bleep. We're gonna be like that show that bleeps it after the fact. So you're gonna be like, shit, bleep.
When shit hits the fan, you're not gonna be able to get one.
Yeah, so, right. That's a good point.
So I think it's honestly for any business, it's a good idea to have a line of credit, touch it once a year, buy something with it, keep it out for a month or two, pay it back. Because too, I mean, if shit really hits the fan, from what I've heard, now there's actually used to be a guy in our group who came from the banking industry and he bought a landscape business, and he was telling us, you have a line of credit, you feel a little off one morning, pull the whole thing out, because if the bank calls it, it technically takes them like 3 to 6 months to get the funds back. So worst case, it'll float you for a couple months. But yeah, you need to have a good relationship with your banker. Regardless, probably multiple bankers, really. So we have a couple different banks we use. But then too, I mean, we're still trying to, the good thing about it at least is, you don't ever get too flush with cash, and you never really buying stupid shit you don't need.
Yeah.
because you never have any money during the season. Like I think we fully pay. I mean, we still have 7 figures in receivables, but our line of credit was paid off a couple weeks ago. I
Nice.
think. But
That helps you going into taxes, though.
yeah, we meet with our, which I guess this is something I was going to talk about too. There's people you need on your team that aren't employees.
Mm.
So I'm trying to think what all more. Banker, like we
Yep.
talked about, accountant,
Yep.
a bookkeeper that's not your accountant. To that, I mean, that's new for us too. That's someone as well, because we meet with our accountant really like a month before the end of the year, and he kind of tells us where you need to be.
Yeah.
So we still pay taxes on a cash basis. So it's like we're talking about, okay, we need to not cash this check. We need to not pay these checks until after the 1st and whatnot. So that'll kind of influence that. But yeah. Yeah, and then I can go into the bookkeeper, why that needs to be separate from your accountant.
Why does that need? Let's tell people why that needs to be separate.
We had them as the same guy, and if you need some bookkeeping help during tax season, you pretty much get told to fuck off until April.
Yep.
So now our bookkeeper is a CPA, but she doesn't file taxes. So we have her. She kind of works as we have an in-house office manager, and she pretty much will double check that office manager's stuff and make sure the books are clean. Once a month, those books will be clean. She actually sends out the books to our bankers because they want to see the books once a month. Essentially, they have a big line of credit with us. They have auto loans with us. They want to see what that looks like once a month. So that is new to us last year, and that's been tremendous help for us. And then your accountant too, in my opinion, should be you don't want someone that does personal taxes for you. You want someone who does businesses and business owners. The guy we have, the only personal taxes he does are for the business owners.
Yeah,
so,
right.
We file as an S corp, so I'm a employee, so I have personal taxes to do that are separate from the business taxes. So, yeah.
Nice. So did you get kind of coached into doing an S corp versus an LLC versus a C corp and all that kind of stuff, or did you just go in with an S corp?
We started as just an LLC, and we're still filed with the state as an LLC. But unless we file as an S corp, I don't know the full inner workings of it. But that was recommended to us by our old accountant actually, and talked to some people. I mean, that seems like a good way to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think once you're off the ground, you need to be paying yourself a salary.
Yep.
Or else you're kind of cheating yourself, honestly.
Yep. That and sellability too later on down the road. I mean, if you don't have that line item out there, even if it's a little bit of money, it's going to be a problem.
Unless you are doing absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Then don't pay yourself a salary and then come tell me how you did that.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, that's good. That's good. So let's move into. Oh, actually, I had one more question because you talked about college.
Yeah.
You talked about if you had to go back and start over, you would go work with somebody that's in the game that's probably experienced and that you can go pull as much information from as possible, and then go jump into doing your own thing.
Mm-hmm.
What's your college degree in? Did you?
I have a finance degree.
Okay, so if you could go back and do it all over, would you go back to hit the college scene again, or would you?
That's a good question.
Because I know I have this conversation a lot. Like, there's a lot of people that are like, man, I don't know what I'm going to do. I started off in that sense of I was already mowing grass. We were doing just under $100,000 a year as a senior in high school, and I'm like, I'm netting 30 to 50 grand, and I'm like, dude, this is pretty good money. I don't think I'm going to do the college scene, or I'm going to do community college. So that's what I ended up doing was community college. And then I ended up dropping out halfway through and going straight, just full into the landscape scene all the time. But I talk to people that go both ways. They're like, man, it helped me. And then some people are like, man, I would just go back and go do what you said and maybe jump into something else.
So there's no right answer. Well, there's a little bit of a right answer, but there's multiple ways you can see it, I guess. I wouldn't go to some out of state school that's
Yeah.
$50,000 a year unless you know you're going there for X degree and you're going to make use of it. That's one thing. Like for me, my 4-year degree from Iowa State was $22,000 is what it costs. So it's whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, I went into freshman year thinking I was going to, I started mechanical engineering.
Oh,
I thought
wow.
that's what I was going to do. And I did a year of that. And then you kind of learn, you kind of sit behind a desk for the first 10 years of your career. And that didn't really appeal to me. And then so I switched to business. And then after about a year, so after that year, I was kind of in school knowing I was going to do something else, maybe not sure what. But I don't know. College gave me 3.5 years or, 2 or 3 years to figure out what I was going to do.
Yeah.
Because like I said, going into freshman year of college, I thought I was going to need that degree.
Sure.
Turned out not being the case. So it's kind of something where if you don't know 100% what you're going to do, it's good to go to school, I think, and learn if, should I go into this field or continue with my business or whatever, whatever that may be. There's always, community college or usually like if you got decent grades in high school, there's usually an in-state option that's not going to be that expensive.
Yeah.
So, that gives you some time it gave me some time to figure out what I wanted to do. So, that it had to be that way for me. I don't think it would have worked out any other way. So,
yeah. Did you find that you pulled connections that help you today from school at all or not really?
I don't know. Like when I was younger, I was a pretty quiet person. It took me some time being in business, kind of get out of my shell a little bit. So I'd say I made most of my connections post, late college, post college. I didn't really I got a good group of friends from school, but I don't do business with any of them. And, so I would say no. Now, if you went into it with that mindset, then you could. But, that wasn't me. So.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good. All right. Well, so going now kind of back into line with having the right people on the team.
Mm-hmm.
So we've talked about the people outside of kind of the company's payroll necessarily. Now let's look at people inside the company payroll. You have a number of employees that you hire seasonally, a number of them that I'm guessing that stay on through the winter.
Yep.
What does it look like? Like, how did you kind of scale up into that? Like, how did you figure out, like, here's the next position I need to hire? What did that look like as far as, all right, I need to bring this guy on that's going to manage this part of the process. All right, now I need to hire an office admin. Like, how did you get to the point of, like, here's the right pieces in the wheel? Was it having the other connections in the industry and kind of bouncing ideas off of them? Was it kind of winging it? What did that look like?
Yeah. So, that kind of came from just seeing how other people do it. I might have silly ideas every once in a while, but most of my ideas are just stealing how someone else did it.
Yeah.
Other people don't do things for no reason. If they're somewhat successful, so you might as well just steal how they're doing it. So, it's kind of, asking all around on which I want to say that's how we came in touch. Well, Instagram. I was on Instagram. I asked people on there, how do you do XYZ, whatever. And actually I was talking so we came in touch from the phaser guy.
Yeah. Luke.
From Instagram, Luke. You guys who's the other guy does the Black Iron Dirt guy does a podcast with? Is he Luke too?
I think he might be Luke too.
So you're all Luke.
We're all Luke.
You're all Luke. Okay. Yeah.
Shout out to Luke actually, because Luke texted me the other day. I need to text you back, buddy.
So just asking people and hell, you can pull up any big company. They probably have a people page on their website and it says what their position is.
Yep.
You can kind of figure out what their I always forget the word, not
framework and
structure, but
hierarchy of chain of command.
Yeah, you can kind of figure out what their business looks like kind of based off that page on their website, honestly. And you can kind of figure out what the roles and responsibilities need to be. And, sometimes those roles need to be a little flexible as you grow into them. But we got a good team here, and yeah.
Creating art from darkness. For over 20 years, Cast Lighting has designed and manufactured the world's most durable, energy-efficient, and technically advanced landscape lighting products available at astonishingly affordable prices. Cast offers an all-encompassing line of products with everything you need to get the job done. Cast Landscape, their most durable product, is best-in-class, low-voltage landscape lighting made of solid bronze with integrated and drop-in LED technology. These fixtures are built to endure the most demanding environments. Source Lighting, a new division by Cast, is your source for professional grand landscape lighting made of durable brass, offering both integrated and drop-in LED technology, and backed by Cast, the world's most durable outdoor lighting. Cast Lighting gives you innovative, state-of-the-art, old-world craftsmanship with tomorrow's technology. Visit their website at cast-lighting.com today. That's cast-lighting.com.
From the East Coast to the West Coast and around the world, no one rocks like Turfs Up Radio. Turfs Up Radio, your industry, your station.
Cress is leading the transition from gas-powered lawn equipment for professional operations with the introduction of the industry's first truly game-changing innovation in battery-powered OPE. With the Cress 8-minute cyber system, professional landscapers can now replace their messy gas-powered equipment without sacrificing performance, power, or runtime. The 8-minute cyber system allows for Cress-made 60-volt batteries to fully charge in 8 minutes or less, just enough time for a water break. Complemented by a full line of equipment benchmarked against gas-powered products, landscapers can finally take charge of their business and make the switch to battery. For more information, visit Cress.com. Visit Cress.com.
So how many people total was it?
I think we topped out at 30 total.
Yeah, 30. Okay. Yeah. So I'm guessing every year it's gotten bigger.
Yep.
And you've got different leadership commands now and stuff like that. Talk to me about the leadership change that you've had going from, you were talking about like in the beginning, I don't know how people worked for me.
Yeah.
And now you've got 30 people that obviously you said that the main guy has kind of been with you this whole time through. Yeah. So there's obviously traits and there's things that have changed and evolved through the process. Mm-hmm. Talk to me about what's had to happen with you from the leadership perspective, from the beginning up until now. Like you have a guy that's getting ready to hire his first couple employees. I wish I had someone that would tell me like, man, here's what you need to be thinking about when hiring people, especially for the first time, or maybe things are not working out with the people that I have. I'm trying to figure out why these guys aren't doing what I want. What do you tell people going from nothing to now 30 people? I know there's an evolution that happens in you personally that has to get you there. So is there anything that kind of like sticks out? Like, is there a moment that you were like, this is the breaking point?
Well, it kind of I lucked out with Sean, honestly, who's our field operations manager, and he kind of let me take a step back. And I mean, he's done it so he ran his parents' erosion control company for 10 or 20 years.
Okay.
He's pretty much in charge of everyone in the field. And so he's done it and been there and to some extent knows what works. He might be a little old school sometimes with, which maybe doesn't work well with our current generation all the time. But he let me take a step back and kind of see, okay, you kind of just need to give them the information to do their job and let them go do it. And just make sure they know. If you please ask questions if you don't know what you're doing or whatever, and if you're there, don't constantly hammer on them or whatever. So
micromanage the heck out of the little things.
Let me take a step back, and your way is not always the right way. If someone else way gets it done just as fast and gets the same end result, I don't care how you do it. So let me, and it would have been hard for me to learn that lesson if I didn't just hire someone to do it. honestly.
So it was hiring the person to manage.
Yeah.
It was finding the right person to kind of take over the overall management of the people that you think was kind of the big key.
Yeah, the field operations.
To growing so quick.
And honestly, too, even if I were step back like that, I overthink, okay, this guy needs to go here, and this guy needs to go here and take this way. And I honestly overthink it, and it stresses me out, and I'm just not good at it.
Okay.
So
that's big. That's a change, though, in and of itself, in the sense of realizing that you have strengths and weaknesses and figuring out which one it is.
Yep.
Because I know there's a lot of people that are like, dude, I got to do it all. Like, they don't want to give up a piece.
Yep.
What was there's like the trust factor of like, so was it the credibility of this guy? Did you know him prior to hiring him?
No.
So how'd you find him?
Craigslist.
No way. So he was running his parents' stuff. Did he get tired of running his parents' stuff and he was looking for the next?
They shut that business down a couple years prior, and he's done some other stuff in the meantime. But like I think I knew some people that knew him.
Okay.
And whatnot, and when you hire someone like that for the first time, you actually check references and stuff.
Yeah.
And whatnot, and sometimes when you're gonna do something like that, it's not gonna work out. Sometimes it is. I got lucky. So
dang.
So I got lucky on that one, and then I've always essentially kind of ran the estimating, financial office aspect of it, higher level scheduling and project management.
The finance piece.
That half. I've kind of been in charge of that here until the last couple months. We brought in another guy who's helping me out a lot on that and doing a really good job.
Yeah.
So, and he was we had a mutual friend, and he worked for a competitor in a different. He worked for essentially for a maintenance company.
Okay.
But he didn't really have a construction background, but he's caught on very well.
Nice.
And handled it very well. So, but yeah, no, you can't be good at all those jobs, and you gotta figure out what you're good at and what you're bad at. And I want to say it was something from the peer group here too, where they're essentially saying like, work on what you're decent at already, and if you're really bad at something, just know you're bad at it, and hopefully you can have someone else do it.
Yeah. Find someone that can pick that up.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. So let's talk about hiring or recruiting and putting 30 people on the team, and especially hiring people that are seasonal, that are here today, gone in the fall, picking back up new people in the spring. Obviously, there's probably some people that come back in the spring, and there's some people that don't. And so there's some turnover, right? And so what does that look like? How do you find the right people to put in the right seats? How do you hire that stuff? Where are you finding people? Is hiring and recruiting kind of like a constant thing that you're always doing? I know it's the biggest problem probably in the industry today. It's been a problem for a long time, but it's probably the worst it's ever been.
Yeah. So we actually retain a decent amount from one fall till the next spring. I mean, we'll lose some people off. I mean, that's pretty normal, but we retain a decent amount. Some of that's just because in Iowa, that's kind of how it's done. If you're in the construction business, you get laid off in November, December, and you come back in March or April. Either pick up a winter job, or we have seasonal unemployment in Iowa, which essentially you can pull unemployment, but you don't have to apply for jobs because as long as you get back on in the spring.
Yep.
That's kind of how it's done here. So that helps where you don't lose a ton, because it's kind of expected. So throughout and this is the other thing with the commercial work that kind of helps us. It is fairly simple, so you can bring in people with no experience and they can be somewhat proficient in a shorter period of time, because really there's a couple key things they learn, and then really the hardest part of it is the coordination and how to be efficient at it. The individual tasks aren't overly difficult, but yeah, so we're recruiting really from February on through kind of the summer. It depends on the year too. We may retain really well. Some years we haven't. Obviously, we've grown year over year, so we need more people than we've had before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to say typically we've really tried getting people on March through all the way through August. So keeping a good flow. And I mean, even if what we started doing now is we'll still advertise, even if we don't need anyone, and we'll kind of, what do I call it? I called it the bullpen, right? I got a folder of essentially applications, interviews we've done saying, hey, we don't have a spot for you right now. If we need more people or if someone leaves, we'll give you a call.
Yeah.
So we or maybe someone where this guy's kind of borderline, but if we get a little desperate, we'll ring him up, I guess.
Yeah.
So we've done that as well. That kind of helps us, typically there's a lag. Like with your service, you had to turn it on. It takes a couple days to set up and get going. So there's a little bit of a lag with it where this is, I can call someone today and see if they're still looking or if they don't want to do what that they ended up going on and they want to come work for us instead, whatever. So
constantly building the pipeline kind of people to put in the hopper.
Yeah. And I mean, and it's kind of, I don't know, kind of shown through this year, whereas that is something that compounds. I feel like starting, no one knows who you are. No one knows how you are to work for. No one necessarily knows what to expect from you.
Yep.
But as you keep going, you're going to get referrals from other employees. You're going to have, well, I've seen these guys' ads, but I didn't need a job back then. I do now. Or, I've heard of these guys. I wasn't ready to make a move 2 years ago, but now I am, whatever. I think that's something that compounds because I feel that our quality of applicant we've gotten as of late has gone up. Maybe as far as experience level, which that's a different conversation, I guess, whether experience level matters or how it should factor in. That's kind of a
give or take.
Yeah, my kind of thing is your experience level matters depending on who it's for. I know if you work for one of these 2 or 3 companies and you stayed there for 3, 4, 5 years,
yeah,
and you have a valid reason you want to leave, okay, then your experience level matters to me. If you've worked 5 years of landscaping, but you've worked for 5 different Joe Blows in the last 5 years, then you might as well have no experience. I don't care, essentially. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's good. What does so what does the process look like? Where are you finding people? How have you pulled people in? I know that's changed over a period of time. What's working for you now? And kind of, I know you said you it sounded like you started on Craigslist to some extent.
Yeah.
And then where are things now today and what's the evolution of what that's looked like? Because everybody's trying to figure out like, I need people. I don't have people. I don't even know where to start with that.
Yeah. So I tell you, don't just go slinging up ads on Indeed without help, at least, because that ends up getting kind of expensive.
Yep.
So your service obviously has been good at bringing us, we figure, okay, who's our ideal employee? It's probably a guy who's between 18 and 30 years old.
Building the avatar.
So yeah, so you can figure that out, and your ads can kind of mold to that. Now, that's not necessarily going to bring you someone with any experience, but that might not be a bad thing.
Yeah.
So I think you got to figure that out to some extent. I don't think you have to get super in tune with it just because we can't be that picky.
Yeah.
But or super tuned in with what it looks like. But get the gist of it. Your ideal employee is probably not 60 years old if you're working in a heavy labor field.
Yep.
So that's part of it. And then and then part of it too, I mean, it's not all just the ads too. You need to be offering, it's like any advertising, you need to be offering a product worth buying. You're asking for a person's big chunk of their life. And you need to be able to, putting together a good benefits package isn't expensive. It costs something and it takes some time to put together, but it's worth doing. And and whatnot. So you need to be offering a decent, be a place worth working to, and that is
and display that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't just expect people to show up expecting to know that you're a great company to work for or something like that. Like you said, it does compound that the word of mouth and the stuff does get out there, but it takes time to get that recognition. Yep. And one thing that I tell people all the time too is that you can pass 80 different landscape companies and not recognize any of them. Mm-hmm. But as soon as you see an ad, like say we're trying to recruit you for Alpha, we show you an ad. And next thing you know, you see that truck down the road installing somewhere. There's a recognition of like, oh, I just saw that's interesting. I just saw this ad. And it's kind of like a freaky, and then next thing you know, 2 days later, we show you another ad. You know what I'm saying?
It's then
it's oh shit. Like
my mom just bought a green Camry. Now you see every green Camry that drives by on the road.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So, you're not going to be very successful putting up ads for someone that doesn't have anything good to offer.
Yeah.
We don't have PTO.
We're offering
we don't
baseline.
have any bonuses. We have bottom tier pay scale.
Yeah.
You're not going to go very far with that. And so that's been kind of a conscious thing for me to, we need to make sure our back end is put together well enough before we go put this out here.
Or you suck to work for.
Yeah.
Dude, the bad mouth on that, the bad word of mouth on that side of things travels so far, so fast. It's like a wildfire.
Yeah. And I'm not going to say we're perfect on that. We have turnover.
Yeah, but everybody's going to have turnover. But I'm saying like gypping somebody out of like not paying a portion of their last check or writing a check and the check bounces.
Don't be a shit bag.
You know what I'm saying? Like I have old guys that call me now. They switch over to another company and I'll call and they'll call and talk to me sometimes just to say hey and catch up. And I'll be like, how's it going? And they're like, well, I'm looking for a new company because the company that I'm with, the last 2 checks have bounced the last 2 times that I've deposited. I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, they paid me 2 days late. And I'm just like, dude, who are you working for? Like, what is going on right now? You know, like that stuff. And when you ask them and you talk to them about some of that stuff, like they're constantly struggling for people.
Yep.
And it's like, dude, well, you put yourself there. You know what I mean? Like either you're not running your business right, or you just don't care about people. And the bad word of mouth around people, not even just quality of your jobs or you're screwing clients over or whatever, but it goes the same thing with employees. Yeah. The word of mouth and people talking behind your back, because they all probably hang out together to some extent.
Yep.
They see each other at the gas station or whatever. And they're like, hey, how's it going over there or whatever? And they're like, oh, dude, it sucks here. I'm looking for a new job.
So, the point is like, you got to have your back end put together and then you're going to get more value out of your recruiting.
Yeah.
Because the people you recruit are probably going to stay with you longer.
Yeah.
You have more, more lifetime value of your advertising dollar. For recruiting. And I mean, that's really the only, our work's pretty much all recurring customers at this point. And so we don't, all of our advertising money goes to recruiting. And, luckily we're in pretty good shape this year. Because like I said, that kind of compounding effect has started to take hold a little bit and as well.
So let's talk about that for a second. We've just got a few minutes left, but let's talk about the advertising and marketing side of things, because even like you just said, like all of your stuff really comes from repeat clients. You got your foot in the door, they build trust with you, boom, bang, you're moving on down the line with those same people. But yet you still post on Instagram.
Yep.
You still get high quality pictures and videos done.
Yep.
You still have a high quality professional website. Mm-hmm. Why?
So part of it is when maybe there's a job we bid, we haven't done work for this client before, they're probably going to look you up to at least to some extent. They'll look you on Facebook, look up your website, whatever. So that's important to have. We're not, from a getting business perspective, we're not looking to advertise. I don't need the random person. If you don't work for a general contractor or developer and you aren't looking to work for me, maybe I don't necessarily care if you know who we are, but if you, like I said, if you're our ideal, employee, that's a different story. So
there's
and that's the other thing too. If you're gonna go work for someone, you're probably gonna look them up on Facebook or Instagram or their website or whatever.
Yeah.
I'd say the normal person, if they're looking for a new job, they're gonna at least do some level of research on their new employer. So that's important regardless.
And there's the credibility aspect of they look you up and they're like, dude, this guy's legit. He's got machinery. They're a larger company. They've got a decent following. They've got a decent website. They're putting energy and effort into growing the business. Like, I think all of those things come into like a seesaw, like a pendulum of things that people are weighing.
Yep.
Because I tell my clients this all the time. When you have to put yourself in the mindset of your employee.
Yep.
So so you're trying to gain that guy that's been with the company for 5 years, 10 years. They've been with this person. They're loyal. They show up, they do their job. Like, that's what people tell me 90% of the time. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for the guy that shows up, does their job, is a quality person, goes home, comes back the next day and does it all over again. So I'm like, okay, great.
Because they're out there. Those people are out there. Everyone will, you can complain that there's no one good, but they're there. Those people they're out there.
And they're looking, it takes, a few times of their current company to piss them off, and they're going to look for another situation.
And it is harder as a newer business to get someone like that, because if they've been with this guy.
Yeah.
Because like 10 years ago, it was easier to hire that sort of, you could hire that person day in and day out. And some of those people, when they get hired on somewhere, they want to stick there for a while, and so it was easier for the companies that were in business 10 years ago to get those type of people than it is now. So it takes more effort now than it used to. So.
Yeah, but you have to put yourself in their shoes, in the sense of they're looking at it. They may come interview with you or show interest. You catch them with an ad on the right day at the right time. They get pissed off by someone pissed them off, and they're like, screw this, I'm going to go look for a new job. They see the ad, they're interested, they submit their information, you schedule an interview, whatever. Then they come in, you say, hey, let's go, you're hired. Everybody's like, yeah, let's go, I'm excited. But you have to then think about what happens after that. They leave your office, and now am I making the right decision? Like, I have been with this company for 5 years, or even before that process, maybe they're even thinking about so I'm just saying, like, people have to think about when they're putting all of this stuff together, and they're really thinking about, I need people, I need to grow, put everything together in the sense of thinking about how that person's thinking. They're going to leave a stable job that they've shown up to, they've been generally happy with for 5 years. You have to make it appealing enough.
Yeah.
And show the vision of the future, not just even pay raise and growth, but their ability to grow and learn and be challenged and do more things in this business, to get them to actually make the change. Because they're going to go home, tell their wife, hey, I just switched jobs. And she's going to go, are you sure that's a good idea? Yeah. Like, you've been steady with this. They've given you a check all the time. Like, maybe they've given you work all year round. Are you sure you want to do that? You don't know how this thing's going to go. Then they go to their company and they talk to their boss, and he's like, dude, see you again in 6 weeks, bro. You really think you're going to be able to leave this and be okay? Yep. And then so you have all this negativity behind you. And so that's the one thing that I talk about with a lot of people is like, man, you have to really think about where things are going, and like what you've done really well. And I think we almost use you as a case study a lot of times, because you've done those things really well, that for us, it's made it easy. You have quality pictures. You have a quality reputation. You treat your people well. You have good benefit packages. It makes our job way easier than the guy that has no pictures, no real benefit package, has really never thought about what a real hiring and recruiting strategy looks like.
Yeah.
And then we're coming in having to build all of this stuff around that and put all of those pieces into place. Yeah. I mean, you've done a really great job for that.
Yeah. It's more than just running ads. I mean, it don't cost much to have, and I mean, get pictures of your guys working. I mean, have your photographer go out to a active job, and get pictures. Like I said, the benefits package takes work, but you're going to be much more successful in whatever your campaign is. With if you do a fully encompassing, type thing, and it doesn't cost a lot to get all those pieces together. You just got to do it.
Yeah.
So, yep.
Yeah, no, it's good stuff. Well, hey, appreciate you coming on the podcast. We'll have you back. Any last final words you want to leave people with?
No, I don't have a lot of smart words. I just copy what other people do.
That's all I did too. Don't reinvent the wheel. Just copy and paste.
I've heard it somewhere, but you have a R&D department, but it's not research and development. It's rob and duplicate. So,
that's why you need to surround yourself with good people that are across the country doing different things, so that you can actually have outside knowledge of other things that are happening. Because if you just surround yourself with people in the industry around you, maybe everybody's doing the same thing the same way in and around your area. But if you get somebody from outside of the state or outside of the...
Yeah, and they're going to be someone from outside your market is going to be more willing to share with you.
True.
They're not going to view you as a competitor. They're going to be more willing to share, inside information than, your person who you bid against every day or whatever it is. So.
Yep. It's money. All right, guys. Well, thank you for checking out another podcast of The Green Dream right here on Turfs Up Radio. Your host, coming to you live every Tuesday from 3 o'clock Eastern time, right here on Turfs Up Radio. Check you guys later.